Hello and welcome. Normally I'm teaching you a yoga class, but today I'm going to be talking you through books for yoga teachers. I'm going to show you and talk to you about the books that I have gleaned over the years that have helped me with teaching yoga. Books on anatomy, books on vinyasa, books on yin, books on prenatal yoga, books on yoga for children, as well as books on theming, yoga nidra, background books on yoga that are quite nice to enrich your own learning, and books about yogic philosophy, books about meditation, all sorts. I've kind of put aside the books that I haven't felt so useful. There's no point in me telling you about those. These are the ones that I think are the best that have helped me. I would be really grateful if you would put comments and suggestions of books that you have read as a yoga teacher and that have helped you in the comments box below. I would love to be able to share those ideas with other people. I haven't bought yoga books for quite a long time now, so I bet there are some really good new ones out there, so please do let me know what they may be. I'm going to start. This book by Mark Stevens called Teaching Yoga was probably the first book that I read. I started teaching yoga in Spain 13 years ago and I hadn't done a teacher training course. Just a friend who owned a taekwondo studio said to me, "Hey Sarah, you like yoga, come and be my yoga teacher." And oh my God, I was so nervous. I bought this book. I was a rubbish teacher, but this book helped. It's basics of sequencing, of philosophy, how to manage a classroom, how to deal with students. So if you're thinking about becoming a yoga teacher and you're not sure, have a look at this. It will give you some good ideas. And even if you are a yoga teacher, this is a really good book. He's probably upgraded it. I bought this a long time ago, but Mark Stevens, Teaching Yoga, good book. It's a big book as well. I'm going to move on to anatomy. An important part of teaching yoga. This is Gray's Anatomy. You probably know this is the go-to book for nurses and doctors. It's good. It's a little dry, it's very academic, but it's a very good resource. If you're doing a teacher training and they're talking about the clavicle and you think, where does that start and begin and what does it join on to? This is really good. Also, the Anatomy of Hatha Yoga. Also, quite a big tome of a book. This is not a one-night sit-down read. This is very much a reference book, as are many of these books actually, but also good. This one, Anatomy of Movement, I really like this one. This is by a French dance teacher whose name I always get wrong, Blandine Calais-Germain. Really nice. Very much to do with functional anatomy. So how things move in what plane. She talks about injuries a lot as well, to do with dance, which relate very much to yoga as well. So Anatomy of Movement. This guy, Ray Long, I've got a few of his books. This is probably the most comprehensive one. It says on the back, an enlightening look at the anatomy of yoga poses, and that it is. He colours in, oh sorry, I've got notes falling out there. He colours in red and blue so that you can see what's in flexion, what's in extension, what's being held, what's being stretched and so on. Very handy. Final book on anatomy, I really like this one. It's called the Anatomy Colouring Book. Get your pencils out and colour the different bones and muscles. It helps you remember their names and where they go to and from, the insertion and so on. It's a great book. Again, another one that is given to doctors and nurses. Good resource. Okay, moving away from anatomy. Prenatal yoga. Now, I'm not a prenatal yoga teacher, but every yoga teacher many times will come across a situation where a woman comes into a class and tells the teacher that she's pregnant. And quite often it happens with a new student. You don't know this person. So it's a very good idea that you have some strong basic knowledge of teaching people who are pregnant. This is a good book. It's called Yoga for Pregnancy. I bet there are some good new ones out there. I've had this one for a while, but it does give you the basics on how to take care of someone who is pregnant, and also when to tell them, just don't do yoga for a bit, come back in a few weeks' time. So good. Very important stuff, this. Another thing that I found really useful, this is called The Language of Yoga. It's written by a guy with quite a funny name, Nikolai Bachman. This is all about how to pronounce Sanskrit terms, not just the names of poses, but also all sorts of other terminology, how to pronounce it, and how to remember it. There's a CD with this. Again, I bought this a long time ago. It's probably upgraded to a different audio platform. But I used to listen to this in the car and say the names over and over again. It was so handy to just get to know the pose names, which I think as a teacher we should know, at least the basics. So it's called The Language of Yoga. Yoga for children. I don't teach children as much as I used to. I do the odd online stuff now. But this was a really good resource. It's just called Yoga for Children, 200 plus yoga poses, breathing exercises and meditation for healthier, happier and more resilient children. There are loads of books out there for teaching kids. I think this one has been the most helpful for me. It's by Lisa Flynn. Yeah, have a look. Good book. Again, let me know if there are any new ones out there that I don't know about. Yoga Nidra, loads of books again. Yoga Nidra is becoming really popular now. This one is called Yoga Nidra and it's by Richard Miller. He's a good teacher. By the way, he is a good friend of Donna Farhi, who has written an excellent book called Teaching Yoga that I had and I've lent it to someone. She talks a lot about the ethics of yoga, when to adjust, physical adjustments, relationships that we can and can't have with students and so on. Donna Farhi. Anyway, she's good friends with this guy, Richard Miller, who is a Yoga Nidra teacher and teacher trainer. Good book. Another Yoga Nidra book, the classic, this is by the Bihar school. It's just called Yoga Nidra by Swami Satyananda Saraswati. There, good book, good book. Yoga Nidra, lovely thing to be able to teach, especially if you're teaching retreats, because you can really add in some length there. Yin Yoga. I really like Yin Yoga. My teacher was Sarah Powers. She taught me how to teach. This is her book, Insight Yoga. Really handy, lots of short sequences and long sequences, yang stuff as well, which you can glean in many other, from many other teachers. But the yin stuff is really good. So deep, long-held poses. Her teacher was Paul Grilly. He wrote this book. He's written lots of other books too. Yin Yoga, A Quiet Practice by Paul Grilly. By the way, both of them, Sarah Powers and Paul Grilly, have a lot of online resources as well, not just books. So do look at their websites. I'm going to talk quite a lot about Iyengar Yoga now. I've got a lot of books on Iyengar Yoga. This is a really good one if you've got intermediate students. So they've been with you for a while or they've been with other teachers. How to teach more advanced poses, how to break them down and bring them back up again, how to break them down and restructure. I like the way that this book is set out. So you can lay it flat. I use this for my own practice as well. Lots of little alternatives, really nice little tweaks. She's got pictures down the sides. This is by Geeta Iyengar. Pictures down the side and a nice clear explanation down the other side. So intermediate practice. It's called Yoga in Action Intermediate Course 1. There are quite a few series of these. All these books, by the way, I pretty much got on Amazon. Here in Singapore, we don't have huge bookshops. We do, but they don't tend to specialize much in yoga, as not back in London where I used to live. So yeah, they're all pretty much on Amazon. Moving on to more Iyengar. So, light on life. Lovely stuff to weave into your classes. Again, BKS Iyengar. Can't really go wrong with this. I'm very good friends with an Iyengar yoga teacher in Sydney, where when you're an Iyengar teacher, you're only allowed to teach Iyengar. And she goes back to this book all the time with his themes and his ideas and his philosophy. And I can see why. This is a really good book. I want to give you an idea also on how to theme. So this book by Michelle Bertman Mark-Childon is called The Theme Weaver. This is such a good book. I go back to this many, many times. This book and the Chakra book, which I'm going to show you in a minute. A really, really good resource on how to not just talk people into yoga poses and sequence, but how to also teach them the other stuff. how to teach them about the gunas and Durga and Kali and all these little ideas that you might have, how to teach patience and compassion, how to weave in teachings from the third chakra, how to actually do it, the nuts and bolts of golden nuggets, she calls it, little ideas and quotes and personal reflections that you have on this particular theme, when to put them in class and how to put them. So the Theme Weaver, a really good resource. Going back to Iyengar, pranayama, I think weaving in the meditative qualities of moving the breath and the energy around the body, or using the breath to move the prana around the body, it's an essential part of teaching. So once you become more confident, have a look at Light on Pranayama, the Yogic Art of Breathing by BKS Iyengar. This is a really good book. Again, like most of his books, it's thick, it's full, lots of learning there. I'm going to get more Iyengar stuff out of the way. Do I have more? Oh, yes. Yoga, a Gem for Women, written by Gita, BKS's daughter here. Really good, really good. A little bit more of theory here. I don't know why, but I forgot to put in this collection here Light on Yoga, which is Iyengar's main book on lots and lots and lots of yoga poses. He puts in categories, standing poses, back bends, forward folds, and so on. That's a really good resource. This is very similar to it. A little bit less ambitious, and she talks a lot more about the theory of yoga as well. So there are poses explained in the back. She's got some great pictures, but a lot more about yogic philosophy, the gunas, Patanjali, all the yogic philosophy, and knowing your body as well. And the cycles for women as well, not just menstrual cycles, but dealing with the menopause and so on. Good book. This again, Iyengar sort of based. Miriam Austin, Cool Yoga Tricks. Really good ways to use the wall, to use chairs, to use straps, to use belts, to use blankets, to use people to lean on, to come into yoga poses. Particularly good for people who are a little bit stiffer, a little bit tighter. She also wrote Meditation for Wimps, a really good resource on how to meditate and how to teach meditation. So many books on meditations out there at the moment. This is the only one that I'm showing to you today. I'm sure you have lots of other resources. Do meditation in order to teach meditation. And you know what? That's the same with everything. Do the poses. Keep your own practice going in order to really instill it. Especially if you're thinking of starting something new or teaching something new, like Yin Yoga, for example. Do it a lot. Do a teacher training, then do a lot more, then teach it. Really instill it. Okay, that's got nothing to do with books. Moving on. Now, what to theme? So I'm really interested in sort of the non-dualistic tantric take on yoga. Lots of really amazing teaching in the gods and the goddesses and in the chakras and so on. So this is a really sweet book. Ganesha Goes to Lunch. I've got another one, 99 Thoughts on Ganesha. Sorry, I'm going a bit too quickly. Ganesha Goes to Lunch is by Carmela Kapar, and 99 Thoughts on Ganesha is by Devut Patanaik. I'm so sorry if I am pronouncing those really badly, which I'm sure I am. Here's a really good book on Hanuman, the monkey god. Again, lovely stories, lovely teachings that you can weave into class, or maybe not weave into class, just have as a background now and then maybe in the future. You can teach them in a workshop or a retreat. It doesn't have to be a class. This is Hanuman, the Devotion and Power of the Monkey God, and it's by Vanu Mali. So there's that. Making it a little bit more simple, myths of the asanas. Asanas being postures, obviously. So stories at the heart of the yoga tradition. Lots of sort of stories behind different pose names, basically. Why the names are the names and who they're named after. So this is a really good book to start with theming. The Wheels of Life by Anodea Judith, the Chakras. I love this. I teach a 7-week series of the chakras every year. I've been doing it for about 7 years now, and I always come back to this book. She's written other books, but this has got everything in it. The other books have sort of got more bigger pictures in and talk more about the poses. But this is a really good basic tome. I've got another book about the chakras. I'll find it and I'll put it in the comments below, which takes things even further. Going on to Sally Kempton's book about the goddesses, Durga, Kali, Saraswati, all the crew, all those avatars of Shakti, Awakening Shakti. This is called. This is also a really lovely book to add into theme into classes. Then, nearly done. I've got 2 books here that are not particularly about yoga poses and yoga teaching, but they're just a really nice background for you to weave in. I'm sure you've heard of Eckhart Tolle. This is called A New Earth, Awakening Your Life's Purpose. I've got lots of books like this. Books by Brené Brown, Caroline Myss, all these sort of more modern day philosophers, Elizabeth Gilbert and so on. So keep a lookout for anything that might be yoga related that you can weave into class, teachings on patience, wisdom, love, compassion, empathy, all that stuff. It's all related. Coming on to poetry. I love weaving poetry into my classes wherever it's relevant to the theme. There are so many anthologies out there, so many collections. This is one by William Seyckhart called The Poetry Pharmacy. I love the way that he puts a poem on one side of the page and his interpretation on the other. You can glean lots of little insights from it. He's a psychologist who works very much with using poetry as a form of healing in the way that many psychologists or psychotherapists suggest music or walking in nature. His take is poetry. Lovely, lovely stuff here. Mary Oliver, Why I Wake Early. She's, again, widely published, so many different books. Beautiful poems. Nature is often a theme within her poems, insight, love, compassion, and the attention to the detail of a goose or a swan or a river or a cloud. Lovely, lovely stuff. This Soul Food is also a lovely anthology, another book given to me by my mother-in-law, who's a great lover of poetry. Nourishing Poems for Starved Minds, Soul Food. There's Rumi, Mary Oliver, Emily Dickinson, all sorts, Rainier Rilke and Anna Weir, they're all in here, and lots more. Lovely one. Maya Angelou, The Complete Poetry, some lovely stuff here as well. Choose the poems you love, from classics to all sorts. Decide how long you want the poem to be, and weave it in with relevance. I quite often say a poem towards the end of the class when people have sort of got the energy out of their body through asana and they're more receptive and listening, and it's like a lullaby bringing them down into shavasana. I also wanted to, just a quick thing before I go, and thank you so much for listening so far. It's obviously helping, otherwise you wouldn't still be here. Do keep looking at your teacher training sort of the guides and the manuals, that's the word I was looking for, that you were given. Little nuggets of wisdom keep on cropping up when I look at them. So do keep looking back, and do keep also keep your practice and your teaching alive and interesting for you as well as your students by keep on doing courses with your teachers as well. So it's great to read about Yoga Nidra, but it's also really nice to learn person to person or online with someone who's been teaching it for a long time. You just glean so much more when it's person to person. Glean loads from books, but also person to person stuff. I'm doing an online course at the moment with my teacher, Noah Marzé, on how to teach people how to teach. It's brilliant. I don't know if a lot has been written about that actually. It's a resource that's really needed because there are lots of teacher training courses out there that are really not so up to scratch. So I'm learning a lot from him, and we'll soon be rolling out some teacher training courses myself. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, Yoga Glow. Douglas Brooks and Sally Kempton. Sally Kempton wrote this book, Awakening Shakti. Do some lovely courses and lectures and meditations on Yoga Glow. I really recommend that. And Yoga International is also a very good resource for teachers good articles, talks, lectures, and so on. So I think you're given 4 articles a month. It's quite worth subscribing. It's not expensive. What else? I think that's it. Keep reading. Do let me know any books that you can recommend. Put them in the comments box. If you like this, if this was helpful, please do share it to any other teacher friends that you have. Give me the thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe and keep in touch. I love this stuff. And do keep in touch with me, because I will be bringing out some online augmenting yoga teaching skill courses, sort of from 20 hours to 50-hour courses, where I will be weaving in everything that I've learned over the years, all the good stuff and all the bad stuff to avoid. So do keep in touch and have a look at my website, sarahbyoga.net. Namaste, and thank you for joining me.